Hello, everybody. I thought it would be interesting to review. I put together, let's start over again. I put together a little snippet from a movie that my first dog, Tucker, was a part of. It was kind of a major production that he was compared to things that I do, more major production. And it has never been released. I asked if I could show the bits of Tucker, and I was given permission. So I am going to do that. I put together this little snippet, and we shall watch that, I think. So the film is called Electric Castles.
Can't wash it off. They can see the energy through invisible skin. I can't hide. The electrons have burglary away
So
from the angels.
there he is. That is his first scene.
Tucker!
And they used his real name because that is what he responded to. He wouldn't have known a different name. He'd never done any acting, and he was still quite young there. I'm trying to remember exactly how old he was.
I was afraid you wouldn't come back. I know, but I just can't be alone anymore.
Just about a year, maybe, or a little over a
So
year.
where did we go?
We did his. I guess don't know where to start when there's certain things like this. There is something they have here called the Canine Citizenship Test, and the dog needs to be minimum of a year old. So Tucker was 1 year and 3 days old when he took his canine citizenship test, and he failed one thing that was an automatic fail, and it was all my fault. And I felt I let him down so bad because he was so good. Things that he'd never experienced before, he passed with flying colors, but something where I had trained him to do something to respond differently than what they wanted led to him having a failure, which was really, really sad. But he was a really exceptionally well-behaved dog, and I never subjected him to that test again. It's really a grueling test. Like, that your dog has to be able to walk around with total strangers and unfamiliar dogs, and they're not allowed to even look in the direction of the dog because that's automatic failure. Like, there's all these things. It's a very intense test to find out how your dog is going to be in public. And it doesn't really, the Canine Citizen Test gives you a certificate saying that at the time of that test, your dog qualified for this, which offers nothing after that fact. So it was really kind of a pointless thing, but I did go through it with him, and I'm kind of glad I did. It showed me just how capable he was, even though he did fail, and even though that failure was my fault. He was a very unique looking dog. Okay, now that was something that he specifically learned to do for his Annie audition. The Orpheus Theater Group here, which is like the longest running theater group of its kind in all of Canada, and very close to being all of North America, possibly is all of North America. I'm not sure exactly of those details, but they were casting the musical Annie, and they needed a Sandy. And I thought, well, Tucker's the right color, and he's a very different type of dog than usually does it, and he's highly trainable, and I think that that would be an interesting thing. So we went for the audition, and of course he didn't get cast. They went with a Nepo baby, so to speak, where it was like 2 generations below the dog that performed it for Orpheus the first time or something. And so, had the memories and whatnot. Now, I saw the show, and it was kind of funny because certain things the dog needed to do, and I'm not saying that Tucker would have been better because the stuff that this dog had to do, Tucker certainly didn't know yet, but I think he would have learned. But he was supposed to go and pick up this glove that Annie drops in the middle of a spotlight. And so there's the glove in the middle of the spotlight, and the dog walked right on past it, and stood there with his butt in the spotlight and his head out of the light, and didn't pick up the glove at all. It was really kind of funny because that's the joy of live theater. And perhaps the dog did it right every other time. But that's what I saw. And I went, well, Tucker would have done better than that. Which is not necessarily true. Tucker would have done differently than that. But that is where he learned how to put his head up on the lap, because it was something that was in the script and they wanted the dog to be able to do that. So it was in the list of things that they were looking for. So before the audition, I taught him how to do that, and he picked it up pretty quickly and never got a chance to do it in the stage show. And in the actual stage show, they never had the dog do that at all. And I'm thinking, maybe they couldn't get the dog to do it. But anyway, at least he got to prove that he could do it here in this film.
No, but I just can't be alone anymore. But where would we go? You have no money.
Fuck off.
Told you to keep that thing away from here. Keep it away from here, or I'll kick the shit out of both of you.
So it's really interesting because we were there on this set all day. Like it was like 12, 14 hours or something this shoot was for the whole thing. And there was a lot of time we all got to spend together, and I didn't know these people prior to working on this film. And Tucker was always very patient, and he would just stand by for whenever he was needed. And the rest of us were losing our patience because, you know, it's a big process that a lot of people have to work together, and it does put a lot of stress and strain on how one interacts with other people and things. It's just, that's just the way it is. And everyone tries to minimize that as much as possible if they're all working together, which is my experience. But I can also see where even if you just had one person who wasn't in line with that, would just make a miserable experience for everyone involved. So it's not the easiest environment to survive if you are not inclined to be able to be more cooperative with people. Now, the characters in this are interesting because there's a lot of diversity and some very mean kind of actions.
You were right. We can't stay here. They're trying to get rid of you. Go.
Do you speak English, you crazy bitch? I told you to lose the fucking dog.
As you will see coming up, and different things that had to be handled well and respectfully and kind of authentically. And I think the actors did a very good job. And when we weren't rolling, when the cameras weren't rolling and everyone was getting together, and to hear them laughing and carrying on like really good friends, and then see them go and play these sort of nasty parts in conflict, I'm like going, okay, I see the acting involved now, because this is not your natural behaviors. Yeah, it was a wonderful experience. I really enjoyed working on this film, and I know that Tucker did too. And nobody had hurt him in any way.
This isn't one of your fucking voices. You can't escape me. Get the fuck out of here!
Don't touch him!
And the hard part about getting a dog to seem upset or angry is they're having a good time doing these things because they've asked you, so their tail will be wagging. It's a dead giveaway that the dog is not mean and unhappy, that it's just playing a role is because the tail will be wagging. It's a really good movie. I don't know why it hasn't been released. But I wanted to make sure I left all the credits in, and quite a few people involved in this project, and it had a lot to say. I thought it handled the subject matter very well, and it was an interesting process from start to finish for me as far as a learning experience goes, because it was the longest I'd been on a set, because prior to Tucker really getting cast for things, I only ever did stage. Nobody ever cast me in film. And I, would look and audition for things and whatnot, never get cast. And Tucker very first thing he goes for, boom, done, he's in. When it comes to film. Stage, we were the opposite. He didn't get cast on stage. People didn't trust him. And I'm not sure, I don't know how he would have been during the process of, rehearsals for a show like that, because it's 3 months of rehearsing and things. I don't know how he would have got along learning to work with the children. I heard that one of the children was, how do I sensitively put this, was a bit hard to coordinate with the dog they got, which could have also led to some of the difficulties that dog had during the run of the show and the performance. But I don't know. I am merely speculating based on things I've seen and things I've heard, and none of that to me is good enough for fact. So make of it what you will. But that's it. That's the thing. I cut a lot of the actual film out. I only included the stuff that involved Tucker. So there is by no means a full story in what I have left together. Another thing of interest I found was when Tucker was learning something, when you're saying, okay, he needs to come through the gate, pause, come over to her, and then, present himself to her, to be there for her, whether he's put his head on the lap, whatever it had to do. All of that was something that we went, okay, let's get him to do this. So we got him to do it, and he was like, okay, I can do this. But nobody films the first take. And Tucker is one of those dogs that if you're not filming his first practice, you may not get what you want ever again, because he will do what he understands he needs to do, which means once he knows that, he'll do it fast. He'll be like, oh, I go through the door, Sam, go here, boom, done. So what should take 10, 15, 20 seconds ends up being 3, and that doesn't work. So I figured out myself by the end, and so did other people, that if you want him to do something, you record that first take. You take a second one, you might have to take the sound from the second one to put it over the first one, I don't know. But what you'll get from him visually, his strongest, most authentic performance will be the first one. After that, he knows what he's doing way too well to try and slow it down for anybody. But those are the challenges when you're working with animals and children. Very, very challenging to work with, because they will always steal a scene because they don't know that that's what they're doing. You're trying to go, okay, I need to be in control of this moment on the stage, on the film, in the scene. And a child will just go, yeah. And that's it. All focus. Boom, gone. They don't even have to try. A dog, just sit and look at you. Tail wags. And that's it. Your moment's gone. I don't care how serious or how talented an actor. It's you're gone. You're done. I digress, as usual. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. And until the next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other.